Hi, this is Don Ohsman along with Scott Ohsman. We're doing our semi-annual report on the Platform Magic shoe show in Las Vegas, which ended yesterday. We were unable to record from the show, but we're lucky to have Scott back in his office. Scott, how was the show generally?
Overall, I think it was a decent show. I think attendance, I don't know what, we always kind of are a little sarcastic about the numbers they report, but I think it was a pretty well attended show. They spread it out so much throughout the city, through the strip, that I think sometimes it's hard to tell exactly what the attendance is, depending on what hall you're in and what day. But I can tell you this, Katy Perry was there on Wednesday afternoon. It was really, really busy about then.
So they have the Las Vegas Convention Center and the other hotels and all that, huh?
Yeah, so Las Vegas Convention Center, of course, has a bunch of more, all kinds of brands as far as casual, Zen Camp, all this other thing. And then Mandalay Bay have much more fashion. Then you even have a project there and other things. And then they actually had a whole fashion, more of apparel in the Rio.
Well, the viewers want to know about leather. What did you see in leather components in the shoes, athleisure? Any of those things have any leather? Any leather any place around there? Is it a dirty word?
No, there's a lot of women's sandals that are using leather, and there's a lot of people using in their insole of leather, and so maybe it's more on trim little effects. And we've talked about this, I feel like every single show, about how from the eye of even someone such as a student in the leather industry, they're getting better. It looks like leather, but it might not actually be 100% full grain leather.
So you see a corrected grain leathers too?
Yeah, it's hard to tell when you're meeting, when you're walking through. Again, there's some very popular brands. I mean, all of the big brands and all the major retailers, some actually even from the East Coast are a little bit hesitant. You don't see as many from the East Coast there as usual. It's still growing. They have the Atlanta Shoe Show coming up next week. So, yes, you're seeing there's still a lot of leather. Obviously, they were showing spring 2017 product lines. And sandals, wedges, it's still very prevalent. Leather's in good shape.
For trimmings mostly? No, not an all leather shoe, I would not expect. Just trimmings.
There are still. So what you're seeing, again, it's kind of a exaggeration is what we talked about the last two shows and even last year is you're seeing that escalation of those brands on the upper price point level. So they're separating themselves. The middle is getting squeezed a little bit because you have kind of the mass consumer. And then, the big growth in the industry is the perceived discounters, Nordstrom Rack, DSW, all those things. If you've seen those quarterly earnings and comp store sales, and obviously online. So, but that premium leather product lines, those brands, they're using 100% full leather in their sandals and in their products because they're getting accelerated, higher price points for margin.
Well, the retailers like that.
Yes.
How about athleisure? Do you see much of that? What's leather in it? Athletic, what do you call it? Athleisure?
Yeah, athletic leisure. So it's yes, absolutely. And I think their brands are trying to, add where they can. And you're seeing everybody's trying to come up with a new, cool, funky thing. And in the comfort areas, that's where I think leather still is supreme. And so you're not going to get away from that, just the comfort, the feel, the way it handles odor on the footbeds. There's so many great natural things about leather. And that trend is the organic trend, all those things. The whole food trend is growing, and those businesses are going to use leather.
Was there anything about not sustainability, but the origin, where the cow came from and all this kind of stuff?
Yes, there was a couple brands. One notably, they're using a rubber product and making some kind of rubber stylish fashion boots. But yes, there are more and more people trying to tell that story. The challenge is for those brands, and they're seeing it trying to get placement, is the consumer's only willing to pay so much. It first has to have the aesthetics, the price point, and then the story about the great, green way of building it and supplying it and the raw materials and how they're accumulated. People aren't going to pay for that right off the top.
Great. Scott, we got to go. Thank you very, very much for your time and your expertise. And it's nice to see you again.
Always good to see you.
That's all, folks. Who do?